What is going on, everybody? It's Jamie and welcome to the channel Thrift-Onfire. Today's gonna be a what sold video. What sold for me recently on eBay and Poshmark. I have been getting a few Poshmark sales, so I'm going to share those with you as well. My Poshmark store, since the last video, has kind of got back to normal. Haven't had any issues with it since. Now, that being said, Posh Sidekick definitely had a few more issues and hiccups going forward. I think still their automated auctions aren't active yet, which is not that big of a deal. And then I think they had to do an update on their app just to kind of, I think it was mostly to work out maybe the two-step verification code that Poshmark needs now to sign in. But it seems like for the most part that's all settled down as well. We've all probably heard lots of stories about, you know, what triggered this. I have no idea what triggered that entire mess at the beginning of the week. What I do know, it does seem to be calmed down. Everything seems to be getting back to normal. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to start getting sales back on Poshmark. I'm just trying not to overthink it too much as it's out of our control. As far as the $1,500 buy, once again, we cleaned up this corner a little bit. I've been working through some of these cards now, okay? This was completely full. So we've been through a bunch of these bins and stuff. There's still cards down here, binders. These are really dirty. I don't know. I will go through them, but it's a little more tricky. I've already kind of went through this stack here on the ground. Those cards, obviously, but this bin box is part of that, and so is this. I found some interesting stuff when we're getting into more of just like these top-loaded cards, okay? Joe Sakic card here. I believe it's a rookie. I'll double check that. It does say he's got it in the rookie sleeve, obviously. 88-89. I believe that's probably a rookie. Got World Juniors alum. 1995 collector set, sealed. Stuff like that's kind of interesting. Some older 80s Gretzky cards. Okay. Some older Lemieux cards. Ray Bork, stuff like that. We pulled it there. Lindstrom rookie. Paul Kariya. There's a rookie of Paul Kariya. I think that's the juniors card. Oh, there's Pavel Bure. This whole stack is older Gretzky cards, the whole thing. I'll go through those individually. So lots of neat stuff getting pulled out of there. This was also something that was kind of interesting that I pulled out of, actually pulled out of that box down there. Now these are mini 1992 Kellogg's flags. Now the only ones I see complete, this is the complete set without the board it would go on. I see them complete, already pinned or potentially glued. I don't know how they attach them to the board. $70 though for these mini flags. I don't see anybody who's got just a brand new sealed one like this. So I don't have the board or anything, but I'm still going to try to get $70 just for the flags. You know, I probably would take a little less potentially, but I mean they are brand new. There's going to be nothing wrong with these ones for sure, unless there's some sort of weird factory flaw. I did find a couple other smaller card sets. One was like a run of 1 through 10. They are superstar signatures, but they're not real autographs. They're like, I don't know if they're auto pen or they're printed in. I think they're just printed on the card. Anyway, the one set that I found yesterday was a $30 set. And then there was a bigger set, a 1 through 30. Might have just been like NHL Superstars or one of those type of things. That one worth a little bit less, maybe $9 or $10, but still nice to pull those out. Because for the most part, you know, I might go through these cards quick one more time, going like, if it was like OPG 1993 hockey, I might just like do Chat GPT and type in key cards and see what comes up and kind of skim through one last time. But a lot of these bigger boxes, I'm gonna start selling on Facebook Marketplace and trying to get, you know, I'll do like a hockey lot from the 90s, try to get $50 to $100, and it'll be a pretty big lot. Someone will get a lot of cards. I'm not going to try to squeeze every penny out of these things. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to pull out the stuff that I can clearly see that's valuable, but I don't want this to be the end-all be-all, especially considering a lot of these are older cards. I'm kind of more focused on more modern cards in my actual card store, although I'm not, you know, I would never not throw a couple old Gretzky cards or something up on my store. That totally, you know, wouldn't make any sense. I don't know if this is worth any money. I pulled this one out because I thought it was cool. Just a Ducks expansion, Ed Belfour rookies, stuff like that. So there are lots of cool stuff in there, but they're probably still, for the most part. Maybe not the Gretzky's. They're probably like $2 or $3 cards, so they're not super valuable anyway. Some cases they could even be less, but you know, it'll be fun to go through. Like I said, we did make some sales, so we're going to jump into those, and let me just get set up. It's been kind of funny with this $1,500 buy, because I feel like I just clean up one mess and then I start pulling out boxes and I make another mess. But there's, you know, there is an end in sight with this stuff, and I will hopefully by the end of the month list whatever I want to have listed from this, and then we'll be moving to sell off some of the rest of the bulk stuff. And yet some of it I might not sell at all, depending on if some of the stuff that's really dirty and dusty might not get sold at all. So hard to say, but it'll be nice to have a clean space again, because I you know, when I've got stuff everywhere, it's fine when I walk back in and I'm working in the same mess that I started yesterday, but when I don't know where to start and you walk into a mess, that's the part that I don't like. Okay, so let's start off with some Poshmark sales. So this is an Anaheim Ducks ugly Christmas shirt. I had this listed, I think I did have it listed in my eBay store for a while. It also last Christmas was in my booth and it just never sold. When I relisted it back onto eBay and Poshmark, I decided I did not want to put it back on eBay, so it just was on Poshmark, and I wound up taking an offer of $11. It was probably listed for about $15, $11 to get it out. I know I picked this up at my local Goodwill for about $4, so I'm really not making much money on this at all. I just thought it was cool, Anaheim Mighty Ducks ugly Christmas shirt, but you know, I just couldn't sell it for good money anyway. Under Armour, these are interesting. They're Sonic 4 camo black running shoes. They're Bluetooth, and I looked it up. It looks like you can link these shoes to an app, and they're running shoes. They are definitely meant for running. I had these listed closer to $50. We wound up getting $40 on Poshmark for these shoes, which is pretty reasonable. I think I paid $8 and change, so about $9 roughly. I think it's like $8.89 or something like that for shoes right now at my Goodwill. They do change every once in a while. Every once in a while, there's like a $12 shoe, something like that. But I think I paid around that for these shoes, and they sold within about a month for $40. Next, a Toronto Blue Jays 1992 snapbacks hat. This is also a World Series hat. Now, during that Poshmark meltdown that we had earlier in the week, somebody had said, hey, is this hat still for sale? And I could not find it, and I'm like, oh no, this is something that got removed from Poshmark. I looked on eBay to make sure that I still had it. Then I physically looked up the inventory, and I did have it. And then I think a day later, when my Poshmark store came back from my suspension and my items came back, I did see this here. I didn't have to relist it. I then reached out to the person, said, yes, sorry, I had some issues with my account. It is available, and they purchased it right away for $34. So that was good. The person was still interested after the fact. I'm sure it was something they were looking to buy, and then it all of a sudden disappeared. Which, you know what? At the end of the day, that might have been, they might have not bought it. They might have just been like, oh, well, I'll buy it later, and, you know, it's kind of my cart, and blah, blah, blah. But when it probably left and they didn't see it anymore, and then all of a sudden it's back, that like triggered them to buy it. So that was kind of cool. I don't know if that's actually how it worked. I just sort of kind of how it played out in my head when I was thinking about it. So we'll go with that scenario. But point being is, you know, answering questions on Poshmark with people who are interested in items is a good thing, because, you know, if I wouldn't have said anything, they would not have known, and they might have just looked for another item regardless. Okay, so moving on over to eBay, we sold an Ontario Provincial Police hat. This came from one of the big hat buys, the one that I bought. There was like just all the big garbage bags full of hats. This one, $20 is what we got for it. Funnily enough, I've sold this, not this hat, but a different hat twice last week to the same person who didn't buy twice. I don't know what was going on there. They had said, what did they say about, maybe just didn't have the money. I don't know. I'm not sure why they bought it the second time. That was super annoying. I did not block the person, but if they try to buy it a third time, I definitely will block him. Anyway, next up, a lot of ABBA DVDs. These did come from the Cal buy. We wound up getting $34 for the lot of 4. Pretty good. I think there might be a couple of DVDs and a few things left from the Cal buy, but a lot of that stuff is gone, which is pretty nice. Next, this is it's a card sale. It's a smaller set. It's OPG 1992-1993, 1 through 132. I think this was listed for about $15, and somebody offered me $12, and I took $12 plus shipping, of course. I don't remember. This wasn't the ones. Some of them that, yeah, no, this was one of the ones. I think I did relist this already. I think I've got a pile here beside me of doubles. So when I sell one, I can just sort of, I do take a new photo, but I just sell similar, so I don't have to like fill out all the other specifics or price anything. Do that, take, 1 to 2 photos. With these big card sets, a lot of times you really don't need a whole bunch of photos unless you have damage or something to show. You're just kind of showing that this is the set. I'll split the set or throw a key card on top, something like that. Don't get too fancy with it for sure. Next, this is a pretty good one. Sony TA-E511. This is a controller amplifier, okay? I think I had it listed for about $100, and it wound up selling at eBay for $80 plus shipping. I'd actually shipped it out for, I think, $12, which is pretty good. I think I probably charged between $15 and $20 for shipping, because I use flat rate shipping. This went in Ontario, and I was able to ship it. I think it went to Toronto. I was able to ship it pretty cheap into Toronto, but if it would have sold, say, like to the East Coast, it probably would have been closer to the 20, if not $23, $24. So let me just click on this here just to be sure. I feel like I charged $20. Let me look at the listing, where I'm not just guessing. Yeah, I charged $20. So I did make a couple dollars off of shipping. And the reason I don't refund that, if you're kind of wondering, okay, well, if you only spent $12 in shipping, why didn't you refund that? Well, the box did cost me probably $2.50. I used more packing material than I normally would. I bubble wrapped the entire thing, and then it was heavy packing paper on the bottom, the sides, and the top. And I'm probably using another $5 in supplies right there. And when you do get the other ones, when you're doing flat rate shippings, when you get the ones that are going to cost you money, nobody's giving me the extra money either. Part of the flat rate is sometimes you make a couple dollars on shipping, sometimes you might lose a couple dollars on shipping, but if you set that flat rate kind of at a spot where you're comfortable, a lot of times it's just at the end of the day, it's a break-even point, and that's the point of flat rate shipping. I had somebody ask me in a message on YouTube earlier this week, well, how do you know what to charge? Well, after you ship 100 t-shirts all around Canada, you kind of realize, okay, so it's kind of in this ballpark. Most of the time it might be this, sometimes it's this, but rate kind of like a nice meet in the middle point is this. So it really depends on where you live in the country, where you're shipping to. So it's not like I can just say use my flat rates. They're perfect for everybody, because you need to really kind of test the waters out. Or the other option is calculated shipping. You could throw a price there, and if it seems like it's not working for you, you could adjust it one way or the other. I have done that. In most cases, I usually have adjusted it down because I found, better ways to ship or cheaper companies and stuff like that. But, as far as flat rates go, that's sort of how they work for me. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but a lot of times you meet in the middle. And that's the goal, I think, when you're trying to do flat rates. Okay, next, Honeywell non-programmable. Wow, it is 8:20 in the morning. I haven't had enough coffee, so we'll blame that for this disaster of me trying to speak. Anyway, Honeywell home non-programmable electric thermostat. Okay, $19.99 is what we got for it plus shipping. I do find these every once in a while just at my local Goodwill. A lot of times in the past they were only asking like $3 for these. I see more recently they seem to be, if I can find them, like $5, maybe more. So if you get them cheap enough, they still sell. They're only gonna sell for around this point, 20, 25 bucks depending. But this is the most basic thermostat ever, right? It just goes on the wall with numbers, and it's a manual dial. You can, if you set it to 20, it'll keep your thermostat at 20, but it's not digital or anything like that, right? Next, t-shirt. I think, yeah, we got a couple more here. T-shirt, 1998, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is Stone Cold U, so Stone Cold University. $28. This was a deal. I think I had it listed closer to $40. This was the 19th. I think this was the end of the sale I was running, and then somebody offered me on top of the sale. You know, I'm gonna let it go. I'm pretty sure I picked this one up at Goodwill for $4.95, $28 sale. That's fine. Now, if this was one of the ones I got from my Goodwill Bins buddies, maybe I paid up to you know, some of these shirts, the wrestling ones, I'll pay like up to $20 for from some of my friends. But in this case, this one doesn't sell for that $50 to $80 range, so you wouldn't want to pay up. Being that I got this one at the Goodwill Bins, or sorry, my regular Goodwill for t-shirt price, $28 still made sense plus shipping. The shirt probably still should have been closer to like $35, $40. But like I said, I was running a sale, and then somebody sent me an offer, and you know, I was willing to take it. So I'm still okay with the sale regardless. Sometimes it's just nice to move out inventory, right? We're trying to build up a little bit of, since we're not spending money, since I'm just listing the stuff that's already in the shed, we're building up a little bank account so we can go spend aggressively when we want to, okay? Last sale here. This is from the $1,500 buy. I do have a double of this. It's already on the shelf listed as I relisted it today. It is a Parkhurst 1956-57 reprint. I think these were reprinted in the 90s, but the card set is from 1 to 180, I think, is in this set, something like that. $40 for this set. This was a really nice one. This guy, like I said, it came from, this is all from the $1,500 buy as well. This guy kind of cut part of the cardboard box out and placed it in there to kind of make it look fancier than it was. I put it in a hard plastic case when I repackaged this. I do have the other one in a hard plastic case, but I don't have the cardboard box, so we're still going to get the other one shipped out very nicely in a hard case as well for hopefully $40. But it's kind of nice to move some of these sets like this. It's just so funny with some of the sets because, you know, they can be anywhere. It's from like the one we just seen, you know, $130 for, or sorry, 130 cards for $12. Then you can have a 180 card set like this go for $40. But there's, you know, there's all these things in between. For average, I'd say for most of these ones are about $25 for all the sets that I do have. And I have a lot of sets. And as you can see in these videos recently, we've been selling quite a few of them. So happy to get them listed. I'm happy with this buy overall. You know, when I first picked it up, I was a little overwhelmed. But now that I'm getting listed and I'm seeing them sell, it's a lot easier to go through them and find this stuff and get it listed. You know, the results, you know, are in the listing. You get this stuff listed and it's selling. So that makes it a lot easier to want to list, right? So hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, that's what sold for me recently. So I'm filming the end of this video on my iPhone because my GoPro is overheating. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's warm. It's comfortable in this room. I do have, you can see it's kind of blurry back there right now because we're in cinema mode on my iPhone. But my heater's on. It's comfortable in here. It's not overly hot. I don't know why my GoPro is overheating. You know, GoPros aren't cheap. About three years ago, I think maybe, got the 11 because I broke my 9 black. The 9 black one, I think I would have put the memory card in and pushed it in behind the slot that it belongs. It got stuck in there and broke the screen. I sold it for parts on eBay and wound up buying this one. But GoPros are like, I haven't looked at the new ones, but when I bought this one, it was like over $500. So they're not cheap, okay? You know, if we're gonna compare, it'd be, you know, this YouTube channel, if you're curious whatsoever, might make $500 an entire year. Not a very big channel, and I'm certainly not getting rich making these videos. So, you know, replacing a GoPro is pretty much, you know, any money that I would make in this channel. And for the most part, the money I make on this channel, a lot of times I'll put back into, like, you can run Google ads and stuff like that on some of your videos to try to get a bigger reach. A lot of times I'll reinvest the money back into the channel, so I don't even really take the money from this. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know what is wrong with this. I'm not in a position to buy a new camera. I do need to buy a new phone though. This phone, the charging cable or charging port in this phone is broken. I've been charging it for the last bit just on like a pad with whatever the wireless charging is on these phones. It's super slow. It's kind of annoying. So I'm kind of in the market for a new phone before I get a new GoPro. But regardless, we are going to end this one here. If you guys do like videos like this one, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing for more content. We'll see you guys soon.